Is this the biggest Tennessee-Vanderbilt game of the modern era of college football? Let me give you guys a little bit of a history lesson real quick. Tennessee has won 13 SEC championships. They have 16 conference championships overall. Excuse me. They have 17 conference championships overall because they won 2 SIAA titles in 1914 and 1916, and they won 2 Southern Conference titles under General Neyland in 1927 and 1932. They claim 6 national titles, 1938, 1940, 1950, 1951, 1967, and obviously 1998. They were consensus national champions in 1951 and 1998. The only year they were consensus national champions and won their bowl game was 1998. But they did go undefeated in 1938. They also have 4 undefeated seasons, 1896, 1914, 1938, and 1998 are the 4 perfect seasons in Tennessee football history. They did not play Vanderbilt in one of those years, which is 1896. That was coming off what's called the lost years of Tennessee. Tennessee began football play in 1891, but after 1893, I believe, is it 1893 or 1892? It was after 1893. After going 0-1 their first year, 2-5 the next year, and 2-5 the next year, they decided to give up varsity football, and they just played intramural football in 1895 and 1896 under W.B. Stokely. Those are called the lost years of Tennessee football. Throughout all those times, everything I named, and every time Tennessee's played with championships on the line, of the modern era, Vanderbilt's never been a threat. Tennessee of the modern era, and I call the modern era, I say when Tennessee integrated. I've always considered the modern era of college football post-integration. During that time, every time Tennessee has played Vanderbilt, if they were in a championship race, obviously a championship was on the line, but Vanderbilt was not a threat to them at that time. Vanderbilt didn't have a winning record any of those times. A championship was on the line when Tennessee was playing Vanderbilt. Not once. Now, to go through some history real quick, pre-modern era, 1914, that was Tennessee's first win over Vanderbilt. Under Zora Clevenger, they went 9-0 that year, won the SIAA. You could argue that was a bigger game because just beating Vanderbilt was big because Tennessee had never beaten them to that point. 1916, Vanderbilt had a winning record. Tennessee went to Vanderbilt. They beat them 10-6. That helped them capture another SIAA title. That game might have been bigger. 1926, Tennessee played an undefeated Vanderbilt. Robert Neyland's first year, he was hired to even the score with Vanderbilt, and they lost. And that was for the Southern Conference title. So that was a bigger game. 1927, they played Vanderbilt when Vanderbilt had a winning record. They won the Southern Conference, but this was for a chance at a perfect season and maybe to go to the Rose Bowl, and they tied. 1932, again, won the Southern Conference, but tied Vanderbilt when Vanderbilt had a winning record. 1938, capping off their first undefeated regular season, they played Vanderbilt on the road for the chance to win their first ever SEC championship. And Vanderbilt had a winning record. That game was probably bigger than this one. 1946, same thing. General Neyland had returned from war. They played at Vanderbilt with a chance to win the SEC championship, and they won. 1950, they played at Vanderbilt. The SEC title technically wasn't on the line because Kentucky had already clinched it, but because they could win a share of the national title based on certain rankings, that was still on the line. Pretty big. 1951, the SEC and national titles were still on the line. Vanderbilt had a winning record. Tennessee won. In all those games I just mentioned, Tennessee had a winning record and a championship of some sort was on the line. Nothing of that nature has been the case since 1951. Saturday is going to be the first time since then that Tennessee is facing a Vanderbilt team with a winning record with a big event championship related on the line. That big event is obviously an appearance in the college football playoff. I think with that in mind, bank on it. Vanderbilt this weekend, this is the biggest Vanderbilt game for Tennessee of the modern era. Bank on it.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank. Life made better.
All right, so our poll question is up. Is this the biggest Tennessee-Vanderbilt game of the modern era? 89% say yes, 11% say no. So you guys agree with me. I got some more data for you on this. StubHub, I'm pulling it up right now for Tennessee-Vanderbilt, for the Tennessee-Vanderbilt game. And this is data that kind of proves my point, guys. Actually, I'm going to pull up SeatGeek first, okay? So let's go to SeatGeek. Tickets are starting, guys. Tickets are starting for a Vanderbilt game at $284. Vol fans have spiked the prices of Vanderbilt tickets. You didn't get tickets for that in the past. Going to StubHub real quick. I'm just going to keep pulling these up. Tickets are starting. And again, tickets are starting at $220. That's not Vanderbilt fans spiking those tickets, guys. That's Tennessee fans. Tennessee fans are trying to pack Nashville for a chance to go to the college football playoff. It's going to be lit in Nashville, and I do think it's going to be mostly Tennessee fans there. This is huge, guys. Tennessee's never been this excited to play Vanderbilt in a long time. It's an in-state rivalry that Tennessee consistently beats, and now they're playing a good Vanderbilt team. They're playing them in Nashville, which is Vol country, for a chance at a playoff. This is a huge game. And also, it's always big for Vanderbilt. They just want to beat Tennessee, and they have a winning record, and they have a chance to finish 7-5. Rusty Shackelford says Ticketmaster starts at $320. I believe you. Prices have spiked for the Tennessee-Vanderbilt game, guys. They are way out of whack because so many Tennessee fans want to go to this game. That does not happen. I can't stress you enough how much that doesn't happen. It's usually a home game for Tennessee. It is. But they have to, it's effectively a home game. But this year, Vanderbilt's more excited, so here's why the tickets are being driven up. I'll tell you exactly why. Typically, Vanderbilt fans are apathetic. So when Tennessee goes to Vanderbilt, their fans scoop up all the tickets and they go to the game. The ones that feel like going. This year, Vanderbilt's actually excited about being 6-5 and having a winning record, so they have more to play for. So they're more thrilled and excited to host Tennessee after they already beat Alabama and Nashville. So they are trying to scoop up those tickets. Tennessee fans want to scoop them up, and it's even more urgent for Tennessee fans to want to scoop them up because they want to see Tennessee try to win to go to the college football playoff, and they want to give their fans and their team a home field advantage. This is huge, guys. It is rare for Tennessee-Vanderbilt to be like this. There's a couple of times, I'll say, when Tennessee-Vanderbilt of recent years had some sort of magnitude like this. 2013, Butch Jones' first year, Vanderbilt was a ranked team going to Knoxville. Tennessee, I believe at the time, was 4-6. They still had a chance to go to a bowl game. They needed to beat Vanderbilt. They failed to do it. That was when Josh Dobbs was starting as a true freshman and clearly was not ready to play. He got ready next year, but he wasn't ready in that moment. So that's the first one. So that was 2013. 2016, Tennessee went to Vanderbilt, visited Vanderbilt, and it was for a chance to go to a New Year's Six Bowl at the time, which would have been a rare accomplishment for Tennessee because of the decade of dysfunction and everything that had happened since firing Philip Fulmer. That was Butch Jones's year in which the Vols were expected to win the East. They started 5-0 because of beating Florida and the Hail Mary against Georgia. They slumped to 8-4. They were 8-3 facing Vanderbilt at the end of the year. They had found out they wouldn't win the East. Butch Jones gave his dreaded champions of life comment that made everybody sick to their stomach. And then the dreaded champions of life comment, and it all looked horrible, but at least they had a chance to play for a New Year's Six Bowl, and then they choked at Vanderbilt on the road because the defense was absolutely abysmal. So, truth be told, yes, this is the biggest Tennessee-Vanderbilt game of the modern era. It's a very exciting situation for Tennessee. You should love it if you're a fan. I think the good news is that should help Tennessee take this game seriously. They know what they're up against. They know what they're dealing with. Will they? Who knows? Last week, Ole Miss should have taken Florida seriously. Alabama should have taken Oklahoma seriously. And, Indiana and Ohio State is something. Indiana didn't take Ohio State seriously. Let's just be honest. But overall, and Texas A&M should have taken Auburn seriously. I'm not so sure Ole Miss didn't take Florida seriously, though. And I'm not so sure Alabama didn't take Oklahoma seriously. I think it's very possible that they just struggled in those games because playing on the road in the SEC is much more difficult this year. That's probably a big reason that Tennessee fans want to make sure they fill the stadium. They don't want Alabama or Vanderbilt to have a home field advantage to cost them a playoff spot. So Austin Ireland also brings up a great point. They Vanderbilt also has about 15,000 less seats than usual because of the construction they're going. So that's true. Fewer Vanderbilt seats, fewer seats at Vanderbilt Stadium, more Vanderbilt fans wanting to go to the game, more Tennessee fans wanting to go to the game when Vol fans always try to go to the game. That is spiking the ticket prices right now. This is the biggest Tennessee-Vanderbilt game of the modern era. Zach, you keep trying to call us out on this. You keep trying to say, are we aware that being ranked number 8 does not equal being a host? Yes, we know that. We've been talking about things that could happen in the college football playoff race that could move Tennessee up to number 7, which would give them a home game at number 8. So, and there's a lot of things that it's more likely one of these upsets happens. Texas losing to Texas A&M, Notre Dame losing to USC, something quirky happening in conference championship week. It's more likely one of those things happens than not. Now, again, is it still likely Tennessee gets a home game? No, because is it likely one of those things happens and Tennessee beats Vanderbilt? Maybe not. We don't know. But again, if one team ahead of Tennessee loses, then Tennessee could get, actually not just one, excuse me, no, I'm sorry. If Notre Dame or Texas loses, or Georgia for that matter, not happening. But if they do, Tennessee's getting a home playoff game. And if Penn State loses, Tennessee's also probably getting a home playoff game. So if any of those 4 teams lose, they're probably getting a home playoff game. Yes, Tennessee needs help. But it's not crazy to think about.